Hi, welcome to Book Tales. Today I have another book bite for you. Now, book bite is basically a short little snippet of preferably actionable things that you can take out of great nonfiction business books like Springboard Launching Your Personal Search for Success by the Wharton professor G. Richard Shell. Now, today's little book bite is about influence and credibility. And actually, I'm going to tell one of the tales from booktales.org. Just so you know, what we do at booktales.org is we do a different kind of book summary. So you don't have the time to read the whole book, which I recommend because you cannot replace reading a good book. But if you still want to get some of the best parts of that book, we have these book summaries at booktales.org. You can, sign up there and get access. You can actually get this particular one for free, or you can get access to our growing library of book tales. So today I want to talk about the sinking of the SS Malolo, which comes from the book, and what that has to do with credibility and influence. So first, let me define what influence is according to Wharton professor Richard Shell. And I want to point out that Richard Shell, made his career as first a law clerk, and then he is a very, very popular professor at Wharton School. He studied success for a couple of decades, and he created a course called The Literature of Success, Historical and Ethical Perspectives, I think it is. And it's a course that pretty much every senior at Wharton Business School has to take. Richard Shell actually started as a negotiation expert, and he's still renowned. He wrote the book used in colleges, particularly law schools, for understanding negotiation. It's called Bargaining for Advantage. Great book, great professor, even though I've never met the guy. But anyway, the definition he has of influence, to achieve success, is the following. He says your influence is your capacity without using bribes, threats, or violence to affect the actions of other people. Your capacity without using bribes, threats, or violence to affect the actions of other people. So it's not influence to threaten people with death or pain or suffering or anything like that, and then they do what you want. It's influence if you don't need to use any of those things. And when asked, the question, when Richard Shell was asked the question, must you win friends and influence people in order to achieve success? This man, this renowned professor, said yes. It's a very simple answer. Yes, you have to do that. It's not a question. Here's a story that illustrates this. It's a story from his book. We took it out and wrote our own little version for the book tale at booktales.org. And it's called The Sinking of the SS Malolo, with a lesson, Build Your Credibility. So bear with me it takes about 2 minutes to read this, very short, but I'm going to actually read it. I have not memorized the whole thing. Okay. On May 25th, 1927, the SS Malolo was sunk to the bottom of the sea, taking with it hundreds of men, including the designer Francis Willy Gibbs. The report stated that the merchant ship, then the largest of its kind ever built in America, was broadsided by a Norwegian freighter. The gash was as structurally damaging as the one that had sunk the Titanic. It was an enormous 2-foot wide and 15-foot high vertical slice near the engine and boiler room. The ship was doomed. At least this would have been the Malolo's fate, were it not for the meticulousness of the designer, Willy Gibbs. The Malolo never actually registered more than a 5-degree drop in its vertical position. The ship was comfortably towed back to port in the New York harbor and would go on to sail for another 50 years. This was all due to Gibbs's revolutionary hull design, which after the Malolo incident would become industry standard. And this incident would skyrocket Willy Gibbs into becoming the premier shipbuilder in America, perhaps the world. He would design 63% of all merchant ships, over 2,000 tons, and over 74% of all naval ships during World War II. Gibbs proved his credibility as a shipbuilder that day. It was not an accident, however, that a ship built by Gibbs could withstand such a blow. But it did take an example like this to prove his worth to the world, and thus to bring him true and lasting success. This is credibility, the quality of being trusted and believed in by others. Now, when Gibbs talked, people listened. He had influence because he was good at what he did, and the Malolo incident had proved it. He was respected because he could be trusted to always deliver the superior products that went with his name. And his high standards and perfectionism concerning ship safety made him one of the most important businessmen of the wartime era. So that is the tale, the sinking of the SS Malolo. And I hope you got the idea that credibility is like friendship. It's not something that is just an internal thing. It's something that other human beings give to you. So the question is, how do you bridge that gap? And the credibility factor is part of it. So I want to point out that Gibbs was a lifelong builder of ships since he was 9. You know, the Malolo, I don't know his exact age, but I think he was in his late 30s, early 40s when that happened. He was a master shipbuilder. He was really good, but people didn't know it yet. It took the Malolo incident to prove that he was good. In future book bites, I'll do some exercises on how to do that. So another book by Richard Schell is called The Art of Woo, using strategic persuasion to sell your ideas. And this is part of how to become persuasive. You can go to www.booktales.org and read the book summary of that. And I'll go into a little bit more if you want to stick around to some of the book tales and book bites. So I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope I'll also see you on our Facebook page, Facebook, go to Book Tales. And if you go to our website, www.booktales.org, you can find the Facebook page there. Thank you and have a great day.